Hello there, thank you, and welcome to another edition of the Evening Review. My name is Ogito Greg, and in studio with me this evening, Mr. Paul Situmba. He is the Assistant General Secretary of the Mineworkers Union of Namibia. How are you, Mr. Situmba?
Thank you, Greg, for having me. I'm fine. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Good.
Let's jump right in. There have been numerous strikes over the recent months throughout Namibia.
Yes.
Is this a good thing or a bad thing?
Yeah, if we have to look at the beginning of the year currently, I mean, we are just in the third month of the year.
Yes.
So far, nationally, we have witnessed a few national strikes happening in the country, namely the Namib Mill strike, the Norwich strike. I think, in my opinion, it's quite a fair number to begin with at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, it actually also gives you an indication that our labor relations in the country is actually maturing.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, in many cases, you'll expect a lot of unrest in the country, a lot of disputes happening, which eventually, gives birth to strikes and so forth.
Yeah.
But I believe it's quite a good start. We just hope that the employers and employees have a good working relations at the workplace to avoid any future unrest and strikes.
Okay.
But I do believe that it's a good indicator for the start.
Okay.
Yes.
In general, would you say that Namibian unions are succeeding in improving the working conditions of employees in the country? And share some examples.
Yeah, so one of the examples are obviously the happenings that we have just referred to now of the strikes. I do believe that the unions are really doing quite significant work in representing the working class. Mm-hmm. Like I said in my first statement now, the maturity of the labor relations in the country, now that we have very minimum unrest, also is an indicator that the unions are really trying their level best to uplift and improve the living standard of the workers. And one of the, of course, classic example is what have transpired now, whereas, we have represented our members in the energy sector, which is NORAD, and unfortunately, we could not reach consensus, which took us for a strike, which lasted for 4 days, and eventually we managed to get the benefit of what we have requested for. So the workers were happy with the outcome, and I believe that's one of the indicators that really shows that the unions are out there to represent and ensure that workers' rights and interests are really taken care of.
Amongst the significant developments in recent years in Namibia, in terms of the labor situation, is the introduction of minimum wage. And now recently, at the beginning of the year, minimum wages have also been increased for certain sectors.
Yes.
Do you think that minimum wage is working in Namibia?
I do think it's working because there are a few sectors that are really implementing the minimum wage, but we will need proper research and really just to establish whether the entire sectors are implementing the minimum wage.
Yeah.
But I don't know really if the minimum wage, because I remember that in 2015 there was a study done on the BNB, the basic need basket, which indicated and unpacked that the household in Namibia currently needs at least to earn 10,000 Namibian dollars to be able to survive in Namibia. Sure. So it's perhaps a question that both of us should answer to say, is the current minimum wage significant enough? Can it assist our workers? Can it really solve all our current problems? I don't think so. But of course, I think the importance is that we have now a gazetted minimum wage, where it's entry level. And of course, that's where the unions also comes in to say, it is an entry level, we need to fight, and we need to ensure that we improve it from where it is currently. So, with what the reality is on the ground, of course, the truth is that the minimum wage, as much as we are happy that it is gazetted and it's implemented, we are happy that we have a starter, but of course the unions should then come in to say, how best can we improve from the entry level, which is the minimum wage? How do we ensure that our workers earn at least more than what they should to be able to afford the living standard that we are currently in with? I'm also proud to inform you that currently in the sector which we organize and that we are in, the mine and energy sector, there's quite a significant number of workers which at least earn above the minimum wage. And and that's what we are encouraging for other unions as well, at least just to put in more effort in terms of representing their members, representing the working class, to ensure that at least we come to a breakthrough, or to a number that indicates that a proper income should be earned for a worker to be able to survive.
Bearing in mind the rampant unemployment in the country,
Yes.
amongst those Namibians who are fortunate enough to be able to work,
Yes.
do you think that the conditions, the working conditions and the standard of living in general is better now for employed Namibians than it was 5 years ago?
It's unfortunate, inflation rate goes up each year. Like I said, that also can only be proven by research. It's not something that we can just, thumbsuck. But from our database, of course, we have been receiving significant feedback from our organizers on the ground who are on an annual basis fighting and engaging employers through negotiations to try to improve the living standard and working conditions of our workers. And of course, like I said, I think the fact that we have so much minimal unrest in the country should be an indicator that somehow, somewhere, we are doing something which is right. We are not saying we are perfect. We are not saying we have done significant, but I'm sure that we are cruising, and I'm sure that the current effort that we are putting in to try improve the living standard of the working class, it should be commended. Yes.
Now, unions try to make things better, but unions also fail sometimes. What are some of the reasons that contribute to failures when the union fails the workers?
Okay, perhaps, unless there's an example that should be given in terms of how unions fail the workers. But from our experience, from our sector, I think that's one of our main objectives. Our objective is that the workers come first, the members come first, and that one of our principles is that to ensure that workers' rights and interests are at all times protected and are at all times made a priority. So unless there's an example of any failure from the union, I think maybe we can unpack that, yes.
Perhaps as a media employee, I remember the strike at the NBC, which NBC employees participated on for a number of months. And at the end of the strike, not only did they not get their demands met, but the corporation implemented punitive action against those participating employees.
Yes.
Surely that's not the success of the union.
It's unfortunate for whoever that union was that really represented these workers. But however, usually, especially when it comes to a strike, remember it's a give and take. Usually we don't get everything that we envisage to get. But I mean...
but they got nothing.
They didn't get anything?
They got nothing.
It's unfortunate. Which union was that, for instance?
Public Workers Union.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's an unfortunate scenario, really, for the workers of NBC. However, like I'm saying, you have the right as well. The Act protects workers to take on the unions if they fail to represent its workers properly.
Really?
Yes.
What does the Act allow union members to do?
So you can actually apply through the Labour Commissioner's office, and you can refer a dispute against that union.
As a member of the union?
Yes, as a member of the union, you can file a dispute with the Labour Commissioner and take on the union for not adequately and properly representing you.
Wow.
Yes.
I didn't know that. That's very interesting.
Yes, you can actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Government is the biggest employer here in the country. And we have unions in the country that are affiliated with political parties and others that are not.
Yes.
So I want you to break down the pros and cons of those two positions for us, especially if the party that you are affiliated to is also the ruling party, which controls government
Yes.
which in the end is the employer.
Yes. No, the pros and cons, maybe it's probably important for us to first clarify that notion of unions being affiliated to a political party. I
Okay.
think that's the wrong perception. The reality is that unions usually, we organize the workers regardless of their political affiliation or ambitions. So we organize the workers, they become our members, and they become part of the union. However, the union is affiliated to what we call a federation. The federation then is the one that is affiliated and has an accord with the political party. Yeah. But also we should not interpret that in isolation, because it's a historic accord and affiliation that is between the federation, in this case UNW, which we are affiliated as a union, but not the union affiliated to the party. The union is affiliated to a federation, and the federation is affiliated to the SWAPO party. But we need to appreciate the fact that the current government, which is run by the SWAPO party, is a workers' government, because it was founded on the principles of the working class struggle. It dates back as far as 1971, when the national strike happened, and of course through the whole worker struggle in Namibia, where UN had to intervene, and then eventually through all these processes, which I really don't want to go through, we gained independence. So this was a workers' party. And that historic background has then given birth to the federation being affiliated to the ruling party. What are the pros and cons to be affiliated? Of course, I mean, so far we are happy that through the establishment of government from the beginning, we have produced a worker leader parliament members, for instance. And even in the recent past election, we have produced a general secretary who, from the unions, who now represents the workers in parliament, for instance. So I think that's one of our achievements, or one of our celebrations worth celebrating, because we have now an opportunity where someone who understands workers' issues, someone who understands workers' struggle, is able to represent you at a very strategic platform such as parliament, where laws are passed and so forth.
Okay, Mr. Situmba, we need to take a short commercial break right there.
All right.
But please stay with us. We'll be right back after this for more of the evening review.
Thank you.
Thank you and welcome back to this edition of the Evening Review. My name is Ogito Craig, and in studio with me I have Mr. Paul Situmba. He's the Deputy General Secretary of the Mineworkers Union of Namibia. Mr. Situmba,
Yes.
Are enough Namibian employees represented by unions in Namibia, and why is that the case?
Yeah, I think research have shown that a lot of employees are not really properly organized. I look at my sector, for instance, we have about 10,000 mine workers who are organized. And the mining sector alone represents over almost 40 to 50,000 workers. So it's quite a significant number or gap between workers that are organized and those who are not organized. And it's also worrisome, because I don't know whether workers don't understand the importance of joining unions, or whether it is the failure that you have mentioned earlier by certain unions who don't represent their workers adequately. But I believe that it's our part now as unionists and workers institutions to ensure that we put in more effort in organizing the workers, put in more effort in going to the ground and try to organize and unionize members. Of course, we all know the precautions of not belonging to a union, because obviously many times if you are not a union member, your rights are usually violated. And I think it's important to join a union so that you are properly represented. Either your rights are defended and your interest is taken care of. So perhaps it's our part as unions to just create more awareness. And I hope these are some of the platforms that we can use to ensure that the Namibian people understands the importance of joining unions. I know there's shortcomings from certain unions where members are not really properly represented, but I believe that it's a shortcoming that can be dealt with. Yes.
You mentioned something very interesting, and it leads into my next question. Our system, our labor system here in Namibia, it puts emphasis on a tripartite system. That's the government, the employer, and the unions.
Yes.
Does the system adequately protect employees who are not members of unions?
Yes, of course. I mean, our current act is very clear. Even if you are not a member of the union, you have the right to representation, for instance. You have the right to organize yourself at the workplace and elect among yourself shop steward and represent yourself. And of course, the act also allows any member, as long as you are a worker, you have the right to approach the office of the labor commissioner in case of any disputes, for instance. So I don't think our act isolates non-union workers. So I believe that alone should be should create confidence, because we also don't want now to put punitive measures on those who don't belong to the unions. Doesn't mean if you don't belong to a union, you don't have the right to be represented, or you don't have a right to approach the systems that are created by government to, resolve your issues at the workplace. Yes.
That's a very interesting take.
Yes.
Your union, the Mineworkers Union of Namibia, it's one of the oldest and strongest unions in Namibia. And you have, as a union, you have a relationship with the Ministry of Labor here in Namibia. Could you describe your relationship and maybe also elaborate for us, what are the benefits that your members derive from the relationship that your union has with the ministry?
Okay, it's quite a strange question to say relationship, but anyways, just to reflect on what you have just said now. Yes, we are one of the oldest union in Namibia. We were founded and established in 1986, and this year alone we are going to celebrate our 40th anniversary in November. And yes, we appreciate the struggles and the fight that the leadership has put in and to bring us where we are today. In terms of relationships, I don't think there's any personal or direct relationship with the minister. However, I would rather call it they are our line ministry. It's a line ministry, whereas we have a professional relationship in regards to worker or labor related or labor relations in the country. Of course, I mean, many a times the relationship really assists the unions in many cases. For instance, many times when we have disputes at the workplace, for instance, at the mines, when we have disputes, any major disputes like continuous operation issues or even wages and so forth, I mean, the ministry has an open door policy where we usually have courtesy visits with the ministry, and we table our issues, whereas of course he is very open to resolving issues among parties. So I think the professional relationship that we have with the minister is merely on the basis of always ensuring that the working class issues are addressed and that we avoid unrest in the country by having mature and productive dialogue and engagement among parties. Yes.
Thank you very much. Let's take a broader look at things from your perspective. What would you say are the biggest threats that are threatening Namibian employees at the moment? What are the biggest worry points?
I think the biggest threat really is, it's one, you find a lot of arrogant employers who really just don't like having fruitful discussions. You find employers who just don't like listening to workers' issues. And I think that's a big threat because it eventually, leads to unrest, which we want to avoid in the country, in the sector. And of course, one of the biggest threats is, of course, the current form of the Labor Act. That's why we are happy now that yesterday we have also implemented, or should I say, we have just sanctioned our proposals to the Labor Act. Yes, we had a session, and then I'm happy that some of the proposals, I think, if are to be considered, will really make the current act pro-worker Labor Act. And one of the significant issues that we really want to look at is most especially Section 76, which speaks to strikes and lockouts, where we are really emphasizing a lot on employers who like to use scrap workers while workers are on strike, for instance, and also the work no pay, the principle of no work, no pay principle. Yeah. That should also be revised, and I think if that can be revised, it might really assist, the current working class to fight for what really they deserve. And I think if that act can be reviewed, I think the current act will be able to speak in a pro-worker document.
Interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting. You did mention one thing already, but I wanted to ask you about the highlights, the expectations for the rest of the year, significant events. What do you think the year 2026 has in store for us Namibian employees?
Currently, I'm happy to inform you as well that I'm part of the Workers' Day Preparation Committee, and we are busy now arranging or preparing for the Workers' Day, which is going to take place in Opuo, in the Kunene region. And we encourage that all the workers come in numbers, and we are also very fortunate enough that we'll be ushered by Her Excellency. She will be the keynote speaker at that event. And of course, all our general secretaries and presidents of the affiliate will also usher us at this event. And hopefully, if the workers can join us for the Workers' Day, I'm sure there's a beautiful message awaiting for you. And I think one of the themes which we preliminarily already discussed is that we want to make this year a worker-centric year.
Okay.
So where really workers' issues need to be prioritized, workers should be listened to. Because many times as unions, as worker representatives, we want to work in isolation. We want to implement our own ideas on the workers instead of us allowing the workers to guide us, to mandate us, to inform us what they are really looking forward for. Yeah. So, and I think this year's workers' celebration will be mostly, focused on workers' challenges and what they really think should be done to improve their living standard and their working conditions.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You mentioned earlier that this year it will be 40 years.
40 years
for Mineworkers Union of Namibia.
Yes.
Have you guys started preparing? Have you got an idea of where you might celebrate or what we can look forward to?
Yeah, the preparations have kicked off. Mm-hmm. We are going to celebrate in the coast, the coast, which is a Rongo region. We call it the Western region. Is one of our regions who has the majority of our members. Yes. We have over 4,000 members in the Rongo region in the mining sector. Okay. So we want to take the event that side, and I think it will be really a significant event. We have started. We are going to paint Swakop Moon red, and we also want to look at having a mine worker sports event during that same period. So I think the preparations are at an advanced stage, and I believe and I hope that our workers in the mining sector will have an opportunity to really look back, reflect on where we are coming from and where we are now and where we are headed to as an institution. And I believe that this will be a great opportunity also for us and for our members to really reflect on some of the greatest achievements that we have done as an institution. Excellent.
Just as a parting question, there's been a lot of changes in terms of mining over recent years. Yes. But the Mineworkers Union seems to be going strong. Do you see a positive outlook for mine workers in Namibia in the coming years?
No, most definitely, because apart from us just representing workers at the workplace, we have went beyond that. We have said, colleagues, we are no longer just going to be beggars, especially from the employers, to say 10%, 5%, 8%. We have also went far as creating business arms. Currently, our business arm in this year alone might hit the $1 billion the total value asset as a company. We have diluted 25% of our company, where we have created an institution where we want to empower our members directly.
Excellent.
So they become shareholders of this institution, and while we are fighting for their rights on this side, while we are fighting for their improved working conditions and improved living conditions, we have said we have created a vehicle where our members will be receiving direct benefits, direct dividends in their pocket.
Mr. Situmba, I have to cut you there because we've run out of time, but I'm sure that your members and others will also be interested to find out more. So please do that.
Yes.
And remember that tomorrow evening we'll be discussing something else. Join us again on the Evening Review.
Thank you.